Olá, pessoal. Continuamos agora para mais uma entrevista internacional dessa série de lives e entrevistas que o New Law tem feito no Brasil e no mundo, né, entrevistando vários especialistas de diversas áreas para debater um pouco sobre o futuro da advocacia, psicologia e tudo o que está acontecendo de agora em relação à pandemia, Covid-19 e também o que vem pela frente nesse novo mundo, nessa nova era, como muitas pessoas estão dizendo. E o nosso convidado de hoje é o Paurush Kumar, Paurush, que é sócio do escritório Trinaya Legal, baseado em Nova Delhi, mas com escritórios por toda a Índia, e também é o head do Asia Pacífico Desk do escritório, então ele coordena todas as relações entre Índia e Ásia, especialmente ali focando muito na China, e também é o representante da Índia no fórum jurídico do BRICS. Então eu vou endereçar as perguntas em inglês agora para ele. Paurush, thank you so much for attending our invitation. It's a pleasure, and I'm happy to see you again. We last saw in Geneva in January, and we couldn't imagine how the world would get crazy since that time. And here we are doing an online conversation. So my first question to you, my friend, is how the COVID outbreak in India affected the population in general, and how the legal profession was affected. So how are you working? How are the courts and so on?
Right. So India has been under a lockdown for over 2 weeks now, and it's expected to get extended, the lockdown. Courts are mostly closed, and very, very urgent matters are only being heard through video conferencing. Most of the arbitration hearings are suspended. Commercial disputes are not taken as urgent, so they are also on hold. Therefore, there is hardly any work and income for a litigation, a dispute resolution lawyer. For transaction lawyers, corporate lawyers, also as businesses are closed, there is little work except advisory and on defaults and force majeure. So the clients are still reeling from this pandemic and the offices are closed. That means that there is not too much work for the commercial lawyers because of that. And also the establishment costs keep running. The salaries need to get paid. So that is why these are tough times for the legal community as well and the world in general.
Yeah, in Brazil it's not different. The courts are working, but you don't have hearings. Some decisions are still being applied by the judges, especially the Supreme Court is getting together in online modes. We have just 2 weeks ago the first online session of the Senate of Brazil, and one of the senators that votes the public calamity declaration that the president asked for the Congress to approve. One senator was infected by the COVID-19. It's very interesting because he could participate through Zoom of the session, so he could vote. This wouldn't be possible if it would be a physical meeting, right? So that's one of the interesting things about technology and how we are using technology here in Brazil to try not to stop all the sectors, because otherwise it's going to be really, really critical, the situation. And we spoke a little bit about the situation of the courts and the lawyers, but how about your clients? What we are seeing here, at least, I'll speak in my case, it was very common for us at the firm to meet our clients physically and have physical meetings and talk face-to-face. Now, of course, it's mandatory to stay at home, and everybody needs to use tools like Zoom or WhatsApp, the video calls on WhatsApp, or GoJeans and the Google Hangout and whatever. But the clients were not used to do this. So in the first days, it was very, very difficult for them to understand, to connect. But now things are getting normal. At least our relation between lawyers and clients are very good. So far, we do a lot of video conferences all day long. And so how is our relation with our clients? How it changed since the lockdown started?
So since the lockdown started, to be honest, like in India, a lot of work is done through WhatsApp. So we are already used to having our clients on WhatsApp, our lawyers on WhatsApp groups. And apart from that, I have a lot of practice and a lot of work with China. So that means I have thousands of groups on WeChat. And that means that all our lawyers, our entire professional team is also on WeChat. And in China, basically the work has been going on as normal because we were working on WeChat, we are still working on WeChat. Now, some of our European clients, before the situation got serious in Europe. We shifted a lot of them also on WhatsApp, and now in general, we are getting more used to WhatsApp, WeChat, and of course Zoom, where we are right now.
Yeah, and so how about crisis management? I know that you have a lot of clients, not only in India, but also in China, as you said. A lot of international transactions and international companies that you assist in India and in China. You also have an office in China. So how is the crisis management in your practice since this crisis started?
Yeah, so we have set up protocols for link-ups for work from home, for setting up priority to address the client's issues, and created chat groups. Of course, as I told you, the amount of anxiety that the clients have for the withheld payments, the termination of non-essential contracts, and at the same time, want advice on legal remedy, recourse, and defaults, both for and against. So some of them have to seek advice on withholding salary, and the workforce is very prone. So they're also very anxious, and they have to renegotiate many contracts. So we are trying to address these issues by written advisory and a lot of times by consulting over the phone and video now. And we are trying to advise our clients to find an amicable solution and also on force majeure.
Yeah, and how about we are having this situation here because we also had the tradition, let's say like that, to have all our team working together at the firm, physically, and now it's impossible because it's mandatory to stay at home for everybody. We're using a lot of tools to try to do this transition in a more soft way, like to be not so strange for everybody.
Right.
So you spoke about the relation to the client, so how it changed it, and how about your relation with the internal team? So how are you communicating with lawyers? You said that you have some groups on WhatsApp, but to use another kind of tool, another kind of app that you can appoint some jobs for the lawyers to do. How do you monitor your team?
Yes, so because of the kind of practice I have, I'm traveling basically 250 days a year. So
I know
my
that.
lawyer, so I'm used to not working physically with my team, and that is why it goes on, as I told you, on WhatsApp, but also now Zoom. Zoom is very essential. Every day I'm on Zoom, and it is becoming very convenient, and we are all getting very used to this now.
Yeah, this is very interesting because what I say here, I had a live, I did a live on Instagram today, and I spoke about this. So you were before the pandemic lawyer 4.0, so you were used to technology before everything started. So I think for sure you didn't have any kind of difficulty, any kind of problem having communication because you were used to that before everything. I know that you travel a lot, so most half of the year you are traveling. So you stay more in China than in Delhi, for sure. We met, just for people to know, I met Paurush 3 times last year, if I'm not wrong. So we have met in Rio during the BRICS Legal Forum. Paurush came to Brazil. We had a very interesting conference about the BRICS. We both represent our countries at the BRICS Legal Forum, a very important group. We also have met in China 2 times in November and December before the pandemic in Guangzhou. So, and then we have met again in Geneva in January for the event of the Swiss Academy of International Law. So Paurush travels a lot, and for sure technology is one of the main tools that we need to have. And this is one of the questions that I have to you. So regarding the international trade, how do you how the international trade changed already? I'm sure you are dealing a lot with international transactions. So you are also legal advisor of the art group from Hong Kong. So you are dealing a lot with international trade from China. China produces maybe half of everything we consume, especially including products regarding the COVID-19, so alcohol and the masks and everything. So how do you see the change of the international trade after the pandemic started?
Sure. So I think post the COVID, international trade is definitely going to see new dynamics and reconfiguration of supply. So as lawyers, we have to decide if we have to submerge the world into a sea of dispute, a dispute apocalypse, or find ways for businesses to sustain and move forward. So BRICS Legal Forum, as you rightly pointed out, we should, much like the lockdown, promote a dispute detox after this, because already the economy is railing. So why come in as a funeral service when an ailing economy is already in front of us? And that is why adversarial disputes resolution should be adopted as the last kill option after exploring methods of friendly negotiation and mediation. Chamber of Commerce can be roped in on bilateral and regional basis. One of the clients sent us a termination notice for its vendors locally and internationally. So advise them to put a moratorium and suspend the obligations of the contract till the situation normalizes. So that is why we have to come on board and we have to write to our friends and we have to promote this idea of dispute detox. And also in terms of trade for the PPE, for the ventilators. So you're also part of the team, and that is the ARC-X group. So with some of my very good friends, we started an advisory group with supply chain experts, compliance experts, lawyers, logistic company heads, and also trade company heads, in which what we are doing is we are cutting out the middleman, because right now there are hoarders, resellers, and middlemen who are taking undue advantage of this situation. And they are making sure that the essential items are not reaching the people on the front line in the shortest amount of time. So what we try to do is connect the governments and the healthcare agencies directly with the manufacturers. And during this process, we are also taking care of all of the legal contracts as well. And we are making sure that our people are there for on-site examination. There are people who are on site. We are installing time-lapse cameras in the factories to make sure that the quality is there. And in this time of crisis, everyone can receive the essential goods, the PPE, and it does not go to these people who are trying to take an advantage of the situation. So we have been working very hard. And for South America, you are the point person. You will be helping us a lot in this endeavor as well. And we call it International Trade for Humanitarian Aid. And we want to do a lot of services pro bono. And I think this will also get us some very good relationships with the governments we are helping in the future. So that is why it is a win-win situation. And yes, I look forward to working with you on this project as well.
Yeah, pro bono work is a very important thing you just mentioned. It is indeed a very important project, and I'm happy to join all of you guys. But pro bono work and social responsibility is one of the main words. One of the main thoughts we need to have now. I'm speaking in this series of interviews with people all over the world. So I'm speaking to you now. I have spoke to Michael Liu from The Hang, that you know, of course. I spoke to David Wilkins, the vice dean at Harvard Law School, Peter Hurst from the MIT, the dean of the MIT Sloan. Everybody spoke about pro bono work during this time. Yeah. A lot of examples. So we are seeing this in Brazil also. We have, as I said before we started the interview, a lot of small and medium companies that are already in really trouble. So the economic crisis in Brazil, it's really, really fast. A lot of small restaurants, for example, that are closed already, and they will not reopen when the pandemic ends. So pro bono work for these people is really, really important. And for sure, the ARC-X group will do a very important job as well. So Paurush, a last question for you, and thank you so much again for your time. Just before we go to this last question, it's important to tell everybody that Paurush is going to be one of the keynote speakers of the New Law Annual Meeting. It would be a physical meeting, a physical conference in São Paulo, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, it was impossible to organize this event in the hotel. So we're going to do in online mode. So we're going to announce in a few days this new kind of conference. But Paurush is confirming. So it will be very interesting and very important for us, Paurush, to have you as one of the keynote speakers, to have your knowledge available to all the attendees of the event. And so my last question to you is, in a very general way, what do you think is going to change in the legal profession after pandemic? What we are seeing here in Brazil, especially, is that technology came to stay. A lot of lawyers were using the technology before this lockdown started, but now everybody needs to understand how to use Zoom or how to use a lot of other apps and systems and so on. But we see that the law firms are understanding that we don't need to have anymore like big structures. We don't need to have like more expensive structures and entire team working together in one building, an entire building. So working from home or working from a small officer, it's a reality, it's cheaper, and maybe it's more effective and efficient than working in a big structure that will have a lot of cost. So we are now reshaping our mindset and checking what we can get after this ends, so we can apply to our legal profession. So what is going to change? What are the real needs that a lawyer needs to have? So in your vision, speaking about India, the legal profession in India, but also in a more broad perspective, considering that you are an international lawyer, what is your vision about the future of the legal profession?
Yeah, so essentially, since law is an essential service, we should develop a new work culture and approach to serve the interests of our clients by understanding and then developing to serve their interests as well. India has a large legal profession, and the issue is that a lot of individual lawyers, majority of our lawyers are individual lawyers, so they will really struggle. So the first priority of the Bar Association and the established lawyers is to support these individual lawyers and also give financial aid. And secondly, reskilling is very important. And not just for the legal profession in India, but globally, it is very important to use new tools. And I've always been inspired by you and new law for adopting technologies. And I think now is the time. And also, even for the law students, for the universities, I had a long discussion just yesterday with a professor from India's largest private university, and I suggested to her how we can collaborate with new law and we can introduce these new tools and also conduct these online lectures for the students of the university. And she was very forthcoming, and I will discuss that with you further, and we should develop that even in India.
Great. Very happy to hear that, and we are happy to cooperate in the near future. That's a very good idea. Thanks for that. All right, my friend. So thank you so much for your time. I know that the night is already come in India, so we're in the morning in Brazil, but 8 hours and a half of difference. So take care, stay safe, and thank you so much for your time again.
Thank you. The pleasure is all mine, Bruno, and hope to see you very soon.
Very soon. Let's hope.